Shalom to everybody. We are glad that you're here. We're going to invite you to take a deep breath. We're going to start our service in a moment. We're just setting up our Zoom tent and we want to welcome you. So a number of us have already been gathering a little bit earlier and wishing each other well. And now it is time for us to begin. So I'm going to pull up a slide so we can all see the words and begin with Eile Chamda Libi. And we're really glad that you're here. If you'd like to put into the chat your own name, which of course we can see, but a wish for Shabbat, a hope for Shabbat, a message for Shabbat, a little welcoming, that would be wonderful. But here, let's begin with our opening prayer.
Eile Chamda Libi, 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 Chusano ve'anati dalam, Chusana ve'anati dalam, Chusana ve'anati dalam, Chusana ve'anati dalam, Eile Chamda Libi, Eile Chamda Libi, Eile Chamda Libi, Eile Chamda Libi.
Well, friends, again, we're glad that you all are here. We're going to invite you to turn to page 120. We're going to light some lights, and Jesse and Meredith are here in our screen, and with Rebecca and maybe Sarah too, and I'm going to show them. And we are so glad that you folks are here with us. If you would please bring some light into our homes and into our lives.
And Sarah is taking a very late nap, so she will not be joining us today. Hold on. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We turn the page 123. They're going to continue with our Kiddush.
All right, get your juice.
Get your juice ready, sweetie.
All right, ready?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat koto be'ahava u'ratzon hinechilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה ורצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim. Friends, thank you so much for leading and sharing a little bit of joy, a little bit of the sweetness. We're so glad we're all together this Shabbat. We're going to turn all the way forward, Lecha Dodi, the prayer of our mystics, page 138 and 139. We move forward with the first 5 stanzas. After the 5th one, we jump to the very last one, and then we can welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst.
Ya lai la lai 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 la lai, ya lai la 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 lai, ya lai la lai 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 la lai, ya lai la 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 lai, ya lai la lai 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 la lai, ya lai la 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 lai, ya lai la lai 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 la lai, ya lai la 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 lai. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad, Shmo echad. L'shem u'tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. B'krat Shabbat lechu v'lechakim ekol, ha'beracha merosh mikedem nesucha. Sef ma'aseh v'machshavat. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha kumitzei, mitoch ha'afecha rav lach shevet be'emek habaka, vehu yachamo alayich ela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Inari me'afar kurim, livshi bigdei tifartecha mi, al yad ben Yishai beit halachmi. Kol ba'el nafshi ve'alav, ya la la ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabel. Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi ori, uri uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, alayich nigla. Yai lai lai, yalla la la lai lecha dodi, yalla la la lai lekat kalo, yalla la la lai pnei Shabbat, nekabe, yalla la la lai lecha dodi, yalla la la lai lekat kalo, yalla la la lai pnei Shabbat, nekabe. Boi v'shalom, atem v'tala, gam b'simcha, u'v'sola, toch emuneh, am segula, boi chala. Boi chala, yai lai lai, yalla la la lai lecha dodi, yalla la la lai lekat kalo, yalla la la lai pnei Shabbat, nekabe, yalla la la lai lecha dodi, yalla la la lai lekat kalo, yalla la la lai pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Friends, let us turn. Welcome angels into our lives. 142.
Shalom aleichem, malachei hashavet. Malachei Elyon, mi melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Roachem leshalom, Malachei hashalom, Malachei Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We move into Baruch Hu 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Me'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Me'olam Va'ed. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. We will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha. Veshinantam levanecha v'divartabam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'eloheichem. Ani Adonai Eloheichem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Eloheichem Adonai Eloheichem emet.
Our prayer for redemption, an ultimate hope of recognition that we can all journey together toward a place of freedom, liberation, and peace. Let's turn to 158.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha netava kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha netava kodesh. Nora tehilot, osei feve. Nora tehilot, osei feve. Adonai, Yimloch le'olam. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, Lokei hayam mivnei Moshe. Ze'elianu ve'amu, Ze'elianu ve'amu. Adonai, Yimloch le'olam. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha netava kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha netava kodesh.
Let's look up at the screen. We invite you to join us for this prayer, asking for God's embrace of all of us.
Hashkirenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, lehamidenu shomeinu, lechaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, lehamidenu shomeinu, lechaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, lehamidenu shomeinu, lechaim. Lechaim, lechaim.
Page 162, another prayer to help us really appreciate, celebrate the joys of Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei, Mekadeshei Shvi Shabbat. Kulam yispe'u ve'yitangu mituvecha Shabbat. Yismechu ve'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu ומלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת השביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת חמדת ימים אותו קראת השבת זכר למעשה וראשית שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג Shabbat.
I think we can all share how impressed we all are with everybody joining, creating a warm tent, and for Holly not to laugh as she sees all of your smiling faces. Let's continue with the tefillah. 164. Good to have a little Shabbat laughter. 164. We invite you to rise spiritually, physically, as you wish.
But my heart smiles with such joy seeing everybody. Adonai sefatai tiftach uvi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel chasadim tovim, vekonei hakol, vezocher chastei ahavot v'imahot, umevi geula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo ba'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeha kol atarav lahoshia, Mashiva ruach umarita kashem, Mechakel chaim bechesed, Mechayeha kol berachamim rabim, Samech novlim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayim emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, umito melech memit, umechaya, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ugdoshim b'chol yom, Yahalelucha Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers, and there may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha Yira na'avod. Our prayer for peace, 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov ba'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol et u'b'chol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We take some time for our own personal prayer, our own silent meditations. If you'd like to follow the text, you can look at 179 through 181, choose any of those readings to reflect upon, or just take some time for your own personal prayer, your own silent reflections.
Say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Haseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam.
Let's turn again. 371 in the middle of the page is our Mishaberach, a prayer for healing. In the chat, you'll see a link to our list of people, all of these names, folks that are in the midst of challenges of their own. We're going to join together and hope and pray for a speedy recovery. If you would like to share a name in the chat, we invite you to do so. If you want to say it out loud and just stay muted and keep them personal and quiet to your heart, we just want to join together, share a little strength, a little love and prayer for those that are facing tsuris, hardship, and challenges. So our prayer for spiritual healing and emotional healing, physical healing, 371, the middle of the page.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us sing Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, a renewal of body, a renewal of spirit, and let us sing Amen. And let us say Amen.
Well, we are in the Torah reading of Mishpatim, and there is incredible things that are part of this text, but over and over and over, for some reason, there was this story that entered my head this Shabbos. All day I've been thinking about it. I've been trying to figure out what I might share, and I just can't get away from the story. So I'm going to tell you the story. The story is about a girl and her teacher. And the teacher started to teach the student how to read Hebrew. So little by little, learning all of the different letters, putting the letters together, starting to make some sounds. And the teacher shared this with this new student, two letters that seem by side. Now, if you know a little bit of Hebrew, you might know that there is a letter Yud, right? And the letter Yud looks like this. And sometimes when people write a Yud, and if they're just writing it and they're not necessarily seeing it in a formal print, it just looks like a couple of lines or maybe some squares. And so the teacher was explaining to this child that when you see these two little lines in your prayer book, you don't read it as the letters themselves. You're going to see it and you know that's God's name. And whenever you see these two little lines side by side, you have to pronounce it as Adonai. Adonai, of course, is the way we talk about God in Hebrew. And that's how we say God's name. Now, we don't really know how to pronounce God's name. That's why we use these two little lines, these two little yuds, and we say Adonai. So at the spot, even if the whole name isn't spelled out, we're always going to say Adonai. Then the girl continued reading with the teacher until they came to a colon that you often see in Hebrew. It's a lot like a period if you're going to read a prayer book or different parts of the Torah's text. And it also is just shown as two small dots. Only instead of being side by side, that colon is going to be, of course, one on top of the other. So the student imagined that this was also the monogram of God's name. And so she pronounced these two little dots as Adonai. And the teacher interrupted, no, Shenala, those two dots don't stand for Adonai. Only when there are two sitting nicely side by side, where the one looks at the other as an equal, only there is the name of God. When one is under the other, or the other is raised above its neighbor, there God's name can't ever be found. And I just love that. God's name can only be found when these two little dashes, lines, squares, whatever we might see, are going to be side by side. And I still see in this story a message from our text, because in the Torah portion for Mishpatim, we make a transition from learning about stories and narratives and all of these different historical events, and returning to laws, rules, expectations. How are we going to live in the world? We have a huge focus on the ger. The ger is the non-Israelite who's living with all of the Israelites and who has responsibilities and protections. A lot of times that person is going to be translated as a stranger, but it's not. The ger is somebody who isn't strange and who isn't the other, but is more vulnerable because they're not part of the tribe. And we see issues of justice among neighbors. How do they take care of each other and their other property? Who has responsibility in our community? Who is accountable in our community? All of these Jewish constitutional laws are all about relationships in the beginning of Mishpatim. There's a concern for the disadvantaged and the disenfranchised. Don't wrong the ger, for we were strangers too. Don't treat the widow or the orphan in a bad way, because we were once vulnerable. Lend to the poor. Don't harden your heart, but you can't charge them interest if they're really poor. And if they can't pay you, the garment that's on there that they're actually wearing, you can't take it at night because they'll be cold on a night like this. You can't even take the collateral you're entitled to, because you can't put them in harm's way and suffer a cold night. After all of these laws about relationships and responsibilities, then we turn to God. But even still, it's not about praises. It's about Shabbat and our holy festivals. Festivals begin with Passover, go to Shavuot, and then Sukkot. Passover is our liberation. Shavuot is the message about receiving the Torah. And then the Sukkot is all about the journey with those little huts. So we have relationships that we have to individuals. And then there's laws about relationships that are more about a community and a people than it is about praising God. And we remember our experiences, slaves to free people, a moment of revelation in receiving the Torah, and what it's like to journey through the desert. We have, at the very end of the text, a retelling of the two tablets, maybe like those two yuds, a retelling of giving of the tablets and the presence of God being in the people. Maybe this Torah portion is like that first story. Maybe the whole Torah portion is figure out our relationship to an individual, even the ones we don't know so well. What is our relationship to our people, to a wider community? And if we have those responsibilities, how do we take care of each other? And only then do we get to realize God's presence. Just like those two little letters, a yud and a yud side by side, the same size, looking at each other equally, connected, close. That's where God is. So, in the midst of what seems to be still a very crazy world, and if we watch the news, we see all of these different images. Some of them are really quite painful. I hope that we get to encounter other human beings, realizing that they're created in God's image. And maybe we can break through those barriers, cut through it, be present for them as we hope people are present for us, and look at them face to face, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, and not one higher than the other. I really do believe we can find God's presence that way. Let's move to Aleinu L'Shabeach, 586, the very bottom of the page, 586 at the very bottom.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kikuye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kamishpechot ha'adama, shelo samchelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu koreim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטע שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל שכינתו זו בגובה מרומים Hu Eloheinu Einod, Emet Makenu Efesulato, Kakatuv Betorato, Bedatahayom, Vahashevot Elevavecha, Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim, Bashamayim Imao, Ve'oharetz, מתחת אין עוד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד
Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. Our thoughts are turning to those who've departed from this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. We remember so many. Consider so many who have died from this terrible virus. And as we remember them, we think about what it means to be here and present and what it means to remember and to make the most of their legacies. If you would like to remember a loved one and share the name into our chat, we invite you to do so. If you want to just say the name out loud, and even if you're muted, we hope that you will do so. If you say who they are in the chat and maybe even a memory, we'll be glad to join you and connect and remember along with you. From our community during those first 30 days in the period of Shloshim, we remember Stu Byron, the uncle of Shelley Carpel and Sharon Diamond. We're going to remember Patricia Leslie, the mother of Ellen Muller. and those whose yahrzeits we recall for the week that has passed: Rosalind Horwitz Vinnick, Jack Hurst, Albert Jacobson, Ruth Rifkin, Natalie Bieber, Anthony Robbins, Caroline Bate, Jenny Weiner, Samuel Tobar, Emmanuel Greenblum, Sylvia Braverman, Max Suslak, Jack Sapoznik, Arlene Meyer, Anna Isaacs, Harold Gross, Minnie Korn, Robert Schnorbus, Harold Abrams, David Krimstock, Julie Gutman, Arthur Richmond, Linda Urin, Sidney Winicki, Edward Singer, Lenore Marie Diamond, Hans Rosenfeld, Michael Sean Sanders, Lillian Weil. Again, Kaddish is on page 598. We say these words of Kaddish not just as an act of remembering, but we praise God's name in honor of them, since they aren't able to do it themselves. And that is part of how we share a tribute. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael b'agala, v'vizman kari v'meru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'olam omei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dukurusha barichu, le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata, tush berchata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'meru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'meru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'meru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to the bereaved here and everywhere. We all say amen. A couple of things that we want to share with you. First of all, tomorrow morning, there's going to be Jewish communities all around the country working with the National Council of Jewish Women, among other organizations, and certainly the Reform movement as well, the conservative movement as well. And there's a focus over Shabbat in different ways in different congregations that are talking about reproductive health. So tomorrow morning's Torah study, we're going to be talking about issues about choice and reproductive health, and all of the links will be on our website if anybody would like to join us. Even if you don't usually come, that's okay. We're welcome everybody, and everybody will have access. So that's 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And of course, on our website, there are tremendous opportunities to celebrate Purim. We are going to have a spiel. We have a Hamantaschen baking lesson. We have an opportunity to prepare for celebrations with mocktails and cocktails. And all of this is on, and more is on our website. For those who are part of the synagogue and connected in a formal way, hopefully you received our Purim card that came into the mail with a little note from somebody in our congregation. And in honor of all of our congregants, we're making contributions to a couple of really important agencies that are helping the most vulnerable among us in Boulder County. And we're excited to make those gifts. So check out that website. We hope that folks will participate in and share a little joy. I know it's kind of strange because that was our last gathering last year in person, is the celebration of Purim. So it's hard to believe, at least on the Hebrew calendar, we're approaching a whole year, and on our regular calendar too. But part of Purim is celebrating with masks, so keep it up, folks, as well as as well as trying to figure out how we're going to live in a complicated world. And that's exactly what Esther and Mordechai model for us. So check out that link, and we hope that you'll join us for fun and celebration and some important learning. Catherine is going to be teaching about Purim and Me Too, and that'll be another important conversation that we're having. Our closing prayer is going to be up on your screens.
Everywhere we go is holy and sacred, and we stand next to God and next to each other to create holy ground. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love and where you praise. All of life is holy ground. Every he, every she, every what, every who. It's in her, it's in them, it's in me, it's in you. In the bitter, in the sweet, in the calm, in the storm. All of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. When you hurt, when you heal, when you laugh, when you pray, when you hold, when you keep, when you give it away. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day. All of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. We are one journey, one story, one tapestry we weave. One people, one glory, one legacy we leave. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love and where you praise. All of life is holy ground. Can you feel the holy ground? Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground.
We wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. You can unmute and wish each other a Shabbat Shalom, and
Shabbat
we
Shalom.
hope you be well and stay safe.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Stay warm.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. I got my shoes off.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
Where'd you go?
Wonderful.
Neil, where'd you go? There you are.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, Neil. Who else can I see? Hello. There's Cindy and
Hi, Helene.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Sharon. Happy birthday.
Friends.
Hi, Artie.
Oh.
Hi.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Hi, honey.
Hi.
Both Alexes.
Hey, Rabbi.
It's
Oh,
good.
Val. Yeah. Hi, Val.
What?
Hi.
Hi. Listen, I hope nobody objects to St. Valentine's Day.
No.
We were at the door and the neighbor saw them. I don't know how long they were out there, so excuse me.
Oh,
I would share them with you, of course.
well, you are.
Wait a minute, did we do the mochi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, well, whatever.
we did, Estelle, and yours and mine were made of chocolate, remember?
I know, but then I got cake. I figured that was closer to,
I see. Good one.
But I'm prepared, I was ready to celebrate.
Oh, that's the cake. Okay.
But
That looks pretty good. I don't have any cake.
I'm sharing. You want to share?
No, thanks. I have bourbon.
Wait, that's better, I think.
Really?
Bourbon, no, but bourbon and cake. Now we're talking.
Yes.
Now we're talking.
You know what? Bourbon and cake sounds great.
Bourbon and cake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good too.
Well, how about those little miniatures with chocolate and liquor? Does that count?
Oh,
The truffles.
oh yeah. Those are good.
Yes.
I bought
Very
3
funny.
truffles tonight. And because I wouldn't want to share them. I don't want to eat them all myself. So somebody has to come
I know
visit.
what you mean.
Yeah. I don't want to eat them all myself.
Everybody, take good care of yourselves. A good Shabbos to you.
Bye-bye.
Shabbat shalom.
A good job.
Bye-bye.